last
Everybody
minute
gets
thought
to
there,
hear
which-
you at the start of this recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Learn Dota 2 League Season 20, Week 1. Today, taking another look at Granola versus GRaff. We see a few more guys in the chat this time, which is always fun. Including Gotham putting some pineapple on pizza with the assistance of Guile from Street Fighter. Which is what we always like to see. With me here, once again, is Kingfisher.
Hello.
If you don't know who Kingfisher is, one time he sat on a tree right by spawn for 30 minutes and he won.
Wait. My spawn or the enemy spawn?
The enemy spawn. Oh, you're right. I got you mixed up with the Gotham message above that. No, that's Chon, who's putting pineapple on pizza with the assistance of Guile. You won't be Gotham for many, many more years, Chon, don't worry.
10 seconds remaining.
Witch Doctor ban, AA ban, Morphling ban, mostly the same stuff. Interesting to see the Morphling ban. Really the effects of Buttery Greg affecting this league in a shocking way. Banning out the techies, just so Gotham doesn't have any fun. They banned, becoming Gotham happens pretty fast, actually. It does just kind of hit you one day, but, like, Tron's pretty young, right? I think Tron's, like, in his early 20s. So, he's still got a few more years before he's Gotham, so... But, Gotham must have been pissed off, sitting there watching the other team first phase ban techies 2 games in a row. Come on, you guys, they don't want me to have any fun. Going to get the exact same first pick again, bringing out the Shadow Shaman first thing once more. For the record, GRaff said, hey, let's just draft fun heroes and just horse around. Well, they've started out with the first phase axe, the very daring first phase axe, which, did not ban out. Banned, actually, that was, not first phase. It's even earlier than the live game we did this week. The axe on this one. That's a very very confident axe pick. I do like to see some of the bans they have around it, like that Ursa. If you're axe into Ursa, you're crying yourself to sleep that night. That's just a terrible matchup to have to play. And that's exactly what Lou had to play on the Brion team this week, so bad news for any Lou fans. Don't leak strats. Oof. Clockwork, huh? This is last patch. Kingfisher, the AVGN is drafting for this team. He's taking us back to the past.
Stand. Sorry, what's the reference here?
You're a zoomer. Axe and Clockwork, just straight out of last patch here. Axe has definitely fallen since the last patch. He's not dead in the water yet, but he's definitely he's I would say about an average hero right now, at least on the pub scene. Maybe on the pro scene it's a different story, but on the pub scene, which LD2L usually takes more after, he's definitely a middle of the road hero right now. They did screen it well, and it will be on Granola to pick counters out to it, which is this is going to be harder, I think. I think it is safer picking a riskier pick against a lineup that looks like this, because Granola it's not like Granola is besties, I assume, with Mr. Numbers and Canna, right? Like, Granola does not know what these guys play, what they're good at, like the back of his hand, right? So, it's hard to see the axe and just immediately say, okay, you know, Numbers, you played this, get in there. GRaff with a very angry frog. You could have seen that angry frog if you had shown up to Suffering Sunday.
Okay, I do like the Stormbreaker response against Axe. I feel like it's one of the harder counters.
Yep, it is a good counter. It, you know, as always, I do always have to say, it is one thing to counter a hero. It is another thing, like, it's another thing to counter a hero, and it's another thing to actually execute that counter. We did see it a little bit with the Shadow Demon last game, who was playing pretty well a lot of the time, but there were definitely times where it's like, he did kind of have that moment of hesitation, he did kind of have that sweat drop onto his face, he did kind of get out of position. And even though he had the ability to do a lot of countering, there was, you know, there were definitely moments where the save did not come out, right? Which, you know, is fair. Pressure is a thing that exists, right? Like, You're not going to play 100% perfectly, especially in a situation like this where you're some guy who didn't know he was even playing the video game until like an hour before showtime, right? But it is one thing
I
to
did
pick a
not like
counter.
the Warlock pick at all.
You don't like the Warlock? Explain your reasoning.
Yeah. I think it's very, like, it fulfills a very similar role to Shadow Shaman. Like, they both kind of want to, like, sit back and, like, cast spells when there's a good time, and that kind of puts a lot of pressure on... I mean, Dawnbreaker's also not going to be in the fight, so now your mid or your slave lane has to be frontlining. The way that I see Warlock, I think he kind of just, like... He gets countered by heroes that sit in the front and, like, far away enough from their team, so they can't get fatal bonded, and then they also like are hard to kill, so like alchemists, centaurs, like things like this. And you already see the axe pick, so I feel like I would have preferred to pick a safe laner here and then like save the support later.
And on top of that, even before the silencer came out, which I think is a pretty good pick here, Necro to follow, which is whatever right now. Even before the silencer pick came out, you did also have the added element of, like, in the hypothetical world, where this Warlock is, like, the big bad guy in the middle of the fight, right? Like, in the hypothetical world where, and this definitely does exist right now to at least some degree, where it's like, every fight is just, you know, the golems come out in the middle of the Warlocky and the Fatal Bonds, and it's just, like, this big disastrous mess. In that world, you do have a Clockwork who's able to, kind of spot that guy out and take him out before he's able to do all that crap. Like, it's not the thing you would want to do the most in the world as Clockwork. You would really much rather be able to shut down somebody higher on the position list, right? But if this is the guy who's going to be a pain in your ass, then you can unpain yourself. And I think the silencer pick here, very strong, very good. Pretty much just inerts all three of those heroes. And honestly, does pretty good against this guy too. Realistically.
What is the role of Tiny here? Because I'm pretty sure Necro is like one of the hardest counters to Tiny.
What is the role of Tiny here is a great question. I imagine the role of Tiny is, we need a mid and this is a comfort hero for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine against Axe, just because I don't think Axe makes him, like, the call has no value against Tiny. But then, yeah, Necro, I suspect that Necro is just gonna destroy this Tiny.
If you guys want to do the funny draft at some point in this season, because you get everybody on the GRaff team, by the way, is here right now, I think. If you guys want to do the funny draft this season, here's my advice to you. Oh no, not Wacko. Wacko's not here. Here's my advice. One thing I've been waiting for since season 12, and I will really laugh if it happens, is the game where you just pick exactly what the other team picked in game 1. Just whatever they picked, you draft that. The mirror mode match. Please make it happen. It will be funny. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. The Tiny here, I kind of hate. I don't like him in a Necro. He's...
How to Train Your Guardian banning out the Drow after getting slapped around last game.
True.
But they don't have the same problems this time around. At least they have a Tiny that can blink on the Drow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what the GRaff team wants here is kind of a... Well, you don't necessarily, like... want the big in-your-face guy, because then you're going to have Fatal Bonds-related issues, going to have Dawnbreaker-related issues. But somebody who can hold their own, maybe on, like, the second, like, either who will initiate late into a fight, or who will initiate at a funny time in a fight. Somebody like a Spectre, somebody like a TA, perhaps. We've been seeing that a little bit recently. Something of an independent P1.
TA against Warlock?
Okay, maybe not TA in particular, but a hero like TA is what I mean.
I think Alchemist would be super solid, actually. But
yeah, that would be another one, yeah.
Like,
and they're gonna pick one of them right now, the Wraith King.
All right, pick Alch and farm the Wraith King skeletons. Let's go.
There you go. And then he picks the stupid Wraith thing. The Wraith facet. Instead, what they're gonna do is pick Puck. Wait a minute. What's going on here? Wacko Puck? P1 Puck? Okay, not exactly what I had in mind for a P1, I must tell you.
This is an offlane Wraith King.
Yeah, it is. It's P1 Antone. Oh no. Okay, so neither team has a P1. On one team you have a +1 Puck, and on the other team you have a +1 who is like not going to be able to do anything until 50 minutes into the game because of the silencer. Awesome.
I like the
Oh, no,
Tiny versus Axe lane matchup. I think Axe is gonna have a hard time.
I don't think I mean, it's definitely not going to be Axe favorite, but I don't think it is bad enough for Axe where I would dream of like picking the Tiny for that, you know?
Yeah.
This is a lane where Axe is going to do just south of OK. He ain't feeding unless he plays it really bad, and it's not a bad Axe, so.
They really like their strength cores, huh? Like their strength melee heroes on
Yeah.
How to Train Your Guardian.
Yeah, they do.
Didn't they also have strength melees last? Oh yeah, they had a Necro.
By the way, speaking of Necro, Dawnbreaker versus Necro mid. What do you think of that?
I think it's pretty even until level 5. I think Dawnbreaker might even have a slight edge before that.
That's interesting. Not what I would assume. That in my head, that probably should be more Necro favored.
Well, the thing is, Necro is ranged, so Dawnbreaker should have an advantage in terms of like denying and CS and things like this. And Dawnbreaker also should level points into her magic dispel damage thing, which is good against Necro. I forget what it's called. It's the one where she throws the hammer. Yeah. So just off of trading, I want to say until level like 3, maybe level 4. I think Dawnbreaker probably trades better. And then afterwards, yeah, once Necro gets Scythe, she has to play very carefully.
Yeah. Yeah, in my head, I guess with the hammer throw, it makes it a lot easier. In my head, it's a pain in the ass to not just take a free Q to the face every time you hit a wave. And he can go under the tower, too. I think the damage that Dawn does is not going to be enough that GRaff is going to be that scared about playing aggressively in this game for a while.
Well, why did Dawn already skill Q? What is happening here?
What a good question. They are invading the rune down here. They're walking into 5. You've got a very good fatal bonds by the Warlock, which is probably, yeah, indeed, it is going to end with the death of the Silencer and the Necro, actually. This is a wacky fight. They've taken out the Wraith King. 2-for-1 trade, though, is not favoring. 3-for-1 trade, though, is not favoring. 4-for-1, maybe? He's so low on the clockwork.
What does the Tiny need? He has a tree throw? Oh, yeah.
Oof. Clockwork walking home with 40 HP. 3-for-1 trade there, not favoring the GRaff lineup. At least they got most of the bounties. So there's that. 3-for-1. 1,277 gold for the die right at the beginning of this, and Wacko Dubs is rage quitting.
Unfortunately, the Dawnbreaker's walking into lane with half health and no W, so I believe she's going to lose the trade now against Necro. Did Necro die in that early engagement?
Yes, he did. He was second blood.
That actually wasn't even the worst thing. Like, now he gets to come to lane with full health, and
yeah.
Dawnbreaker's not going to be putting on regen.
What the hell happened? Why did I just jump like 30 minutes ahead? There we go. Very weird. Oh, apparently, big breaking news here. Apparently GRaff throws darts to pick heroes. You heard it here first. That's what happens when you watch these VODs, you know? You get to hear nuggets like that. They have the clockwork here in a pretty compromising position, but they're not going to be able to seal the deal without taking a lot of shots from the puck, and they say, no thanks. I don't give a puck. Ha 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 ha.
Oh damn, got him.
Gotham takes out the Warlock Courier here, almost gets the Tiny Courier, actually has to go back home with its item still on it.
Did you know that couriers that have regen on them move like 30% slower?
Yes, I did. I think that was a fairly recent change as well, or I could be wrong about that.
I know this because I played Monkey 4.
There you go.
Easier to snipe couriers that are firing out salves and stuff like that.
They, hammering up this axe pretty well here. There is one downside to the Warlock, in addition to the other things we said earlier, and I didn't even get to say my favorite thing about Warlock, which is, traditionally, Warlock is a hero that helps you when you're up. It is a very useless hero when you're down. It feels like whenever I see a down team with a Warlock on it, all that ever happens is he's just the guy who dies at the beginning of the fight. The enemy team just reaches past everything and kills him. Sean once again down on the clockwork. Very low here, very compromising position. GRaff spins the casino wheel before the game. Sean trades his life for a courier. At least he took the courier out before he died officially, you know. Apparently, update, GRaff spins that roulette wheel. In addition to everything else, it is going to eliminate a little bit of this kill pressure here in top lane. Like, Warlock is...
Sorry.
Warlock is a guy who usually tends to force stalemates, in my experience, at least. He's a guy who means that you're never going to lose lane, you're never going to really win lane either. You're going to, like, draw, which... If part of the plan for picking Tiny was to try and get an advantageous lane and try to ball early, not going to help that much. Thus far, he is up 2 entire last hits.
CS differential mid lane.
Yep. He is leaning in now on the Q, but...
I mean, the Dawnbreaker just has to send himself regen. The fact that he hasn't done so is just losing in the lane incredibly hard.
Somebody keeps going bonk in chat, and he is sending himself regen. He's got a Tango and a Sav right now.
Yeah, but way too late though. This needed to happen at level 1.
Also, this is awkward. Necro's actually in real danger of getting the kill here. Red has to play very carefully. He's going to win. He's going to win that little encounter. He's going to be able to salve himself up, get back up to a reasonable amount of HP. He has to be careful about not losing it, but hey. He's being a little foolhardy with the burn on the hammer, though. The Necro's getting a lot of very easy denies here. Apparently, the day that GRaff wins the jackpot, Sean gets to play Meepo 5. Anxiously awaiting that exact moment. This bot lane is going astonishingly poorly at the moment. If this strange Puck 1 thing was a gambit to try and win this lane, it has not thus far worked out. He is very down for last hits on the Puck, and he's also down a couple of kills. Really, 2 of the 3 lanes right now are not winning for the GRaff team, which, not losing necessarily. No, 2 of these 3 lanes are losing. The only one who's really doing that well is the man himself.
Okay, so this game, I know GRaff said he didn't like Radiance on Necro, but this game he has to go in Radiance, because I feel like Radiance on Necro, given how good of a fucking lane he got there.
You know, he was flaming it earlier. He was flaming it in chat earlier, he was. Just for the record. And he has it as quick buy. Once again going on this clockwork here. Does not feel like a good support trading matchup, and it feels like this Wraith King is just kind of beating his ass every time he sees him. Not having a great time on the clockwork, and the sad thing is that even though it's like a big distracting presence, not really helping the Puck that much either. He's just laning very from behind into this.
I wonder if he's building Radiance because he knows that he's gonna get a ton of Seiya stacks from like the skeletons and the demons or whatever they're called, the imps.
Yeah, that is true. They have, as MMOs players would say, they have a lot of ads on the Dire, very weak ones that are gonna explode when GRaff hits Q one time. Speaking of exploding in GRaff, though, he might show us a little bit of an exploding act here. Both the supports on the side lanes are here. He does not have his W.
Yeah, okay, that's a huge grief. I don't know, GRaff
did not hit the one there. He decided to give a thought of.
This not having W skilled is a huge grief. I think Space Cowboy touched on this at some point last season too, because I remember he was saying something about this. But apparently, like, supposedly, I didn't believe him. A lot of Necro players don't skill W at, like, level 4, and, like, I don't know what you're doing if you're putting a skill point in your passive, a second skill point in your passive before a first one in W. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
I think I would agree with that, both from the obvious reason of how it's, how this doesn't really mean much.
It doesn't scale. Yeah,
it doesn't
what does
really
it do?
scale much per level, and also from the fact that every level of that also levels up your Sadist, I believe. Or does it? Am I an idiot?
No, your Sadist levels with,
Oh, that's
I think, your
Reapers.
ultimate.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I think it used to be Sadist, but whatever.
Yeah, Sadist used to be part of the skill, in which case I could sort of understand it then, but, like, now it's like, won't you also get, like, 50% healing amp or something from your, or is it 75? From your Shroud? So it just makes one, like, heal you to full. It's, like, crazy.
I guess we can check that very easily. The answer is at level 1 it is 45.
That's insane. Meanwhile, I think Holy Lock is like 15 or something. Something dumb. That item needs to get buffed.
Holy Locket is 15.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
And it just got nerfed actually, last patch from
It's
25 to 50.
crazy.
So it used to be more than that, but they nerfed its ass just to make you mad. How does it feel?
Yeah.
Ice Frog was listening to you.
An item that was never touched somehow got nerfed. I actually don't understand.
That is actual Ice Frog balancing, I'm not gonna lie to you. I still remember that patch where one guy had literally one good game on Timbersaw when that hero was in the dumpster and Ice Frog was like, nerf that shit. One win is too much! Same thing happened to Doom actually, except that was 2 wins. So, you know, a pattern there.
Alright, so who's buying the pipe on Dire team? Is it Wraith King?
Who's dying on the Radiant team? Is it Clockwork again? He is 0-3 right now. Not great. Puck is catching up, at least. Who's that? Take a look at the worth chart. No, Puck is not catching up. He's artificially catching up. I was wondering, I wonder how many of these are just the crappy little skeletons that don't give you any money. Answer's apparently quite a few of them, because he's lost net worth. Dawnbreaker just barely above him. The Wraith King actually has more money than the Necro does right now. This guy's basically the pause one on this team at the moment. Interesting to see if he
Who's the other guy talking? Is he good? Thanks, God.
The other guy talking,
Really
I believe that guy's name is Kilometers Dog. And the answer is, I don't know, I've never heard of him before. I literally just found him right outside my house, right before I started recording. He was like talking to my drain pipe about something. That's how I found him.
So Gotham, this is the Monkey 4 player that's haunting you in your dreams.
Speaking of haunting, Puck taking a trip to the GG jungle trying to take a stack. What he actually does get is dunked. That is not good. That is really not good, actually. This is a kind of substantial early game loss for a very early game oriented team, I must say. Wraith King almost dies in the stacks, or sad at least. But that is now a 3k gold advantage to the team with 2 heroes at scale rather than 0 on the other team.
I mean, the other team doesn't have any heroes at scale. Axe has infinite scaling.
That's true.
Silencer also does, but I guess he's a core, so we don't talk about that. Or he's
a
support.
support, yeah. I know what you meant. Oh, who wins this
I
arcane?
don't know,
Or...
actually, Puck
Shaman!
Linking can be really scary.
He's not
think
going to be
what does
really
he do?
scary if he's sitting on 3.5k at 10 minutes. That's
I mean,
something
don't worry
crazy.
about that. The hero doesn't need items to farm. He just presses spells on
There you go.
waves and he gets farmed. Yeah.
He doesn't need items to farm, nor does he need XP. At least
Yeah,
he's
actually,
the same
every
level
spell-
as a Wraith King somehow?
Is he?
Save
Sorry,
him.
I'm not paying attention.
It was a good save. Use the gears for that little save there on the Quietener. And yeah, they're both level 7 right now. Oh wait, no, Wraith King's level 8 now, so Wacko Dub's the same level as the support line at the moment.
Yeah, he's going
That's
down
okay.
some.
He doesn't need items to farm or skills. He just can, you know, he obtains money through osmosis.
I mean, this is Puck. This is what Puck does. Lose lane, and then make the map unplayable.
There you go.
Very cool hero.
Hey, he's past the Dawnbreaker right now. Very unfortunate start for the Dawnbreaker. I think when you play Dawnbreaker mid, you probably... This is not one of these positions where you're okay if it goes badly and you end up basically playing Dawnbreaker support. Especially in this capacity here, where you're, you know, still building the Deso anyway. Global Silence there is going to save a lot of lads. He makes a detour to the tower here, trying to get involved in this kill on the Shaman. But I think this is a little greedy, to be honest with you. He's going to shout at Snakes. He's going to get the blade anyway, and then go down
scaling.
for it. Infinite scaling is true. He's going to finish up his blade mail.
Does Clockwork have chainmail?
Does Clockwork have chainmail? Of course he doesn't.
Oh,
I hope
yeah.
at least at some point in the season somebody's going to pick that, but like, why would you ever pick that?
I thought that skill was really good when they released patch notes, and then I played like, I want to say 3 or 4 position 1 Clockwork games, and they were just absolute disasters, and I've stopped picking it since.
Yeah, it's not good enough to make core Clockwork happen, and the other facets are just so much better than it, then it's like not even... It's not a downgrade in any capacity. It certainly doesn't make you worse than default Clockwork, so it's far from the worst facet they've ever released. But,
Yeah, the damage benefit on it just doesn't scale fast enough, because I think when you have like 80 armor, you don't really need more armor, but like the reason why you're still eating it is because you get damage from it, from your innate, but I don't know, it's just terrible. Don't go this facet, it's a bait.
but it's funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious, which is why I do it, but it's...
Does it make... I haven't seen it.
More.
Does it make the cheese noise when you eat it?
No.
It should.
It makes... I mean, okay.
They're going to find the Shadow Shaman behind the tower. They're going to take the shot here. They're going to get him. They're going to try and keep pursuing this fight, which I think is a little foolhardy, a little dangerous. Wraith King really shouldn't be in charge here. Global Silence is going to confuse us a little bit. It's actually a little bad. The Wraith King does not have enough mana to reincarnate, so he's going to die. He's going to take out the Clockwork before he goes down, but... What did you think about the Shaman?
I thought Shaman would save himself from Scythe with his passive.
You would
No?
think that...
Is that not how that worked?
Nope, that's the wrong thing.
Okay, so, I mean, Necro is
Lethal
literally
damage
single-handedly...
is, lethal damage ignores. And I was so distracted from that, I didn't notice this fight just continuing and just running over 5 more guys. How did this happen? I'm gonna watch
Necro
this
is
team
so
fight again.
farmed. He is single-handedly winning the fight for his entire team. Both of his side lanes have lost, and he's running around with Radiance bots. I don't agree with the bots. I do agree with the Radiance.
I'm gonna
I
go
think
back
it's
a
an
minute.
insane...
This is a little
game for
far.
it.
No, this isn't that far. This is like right before the Shaman dies, I think. I'm gonna watch this fight again with me giving him my full concentration, honestly. It's a rare thing for me to do, but damn it, how did this happen? So
people who are saying that Radiance is greedy on Necro, and then building Radiance boots of travels, that just confuses me.
There you go.
You're talking about
I
greed.
do like how you
it was
got
the
these
axe
scythe-
dunk. No.
scythe and axe-
It was
no.
the axe dunk that prevented the Shaman.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Will not be prevented.
Oh,
That's
wait,
the
is
first
it-
kill. And by the way, when this team fight starts, he's not actually particularly ahead of the other guys. So, you do have the overcommitment here on the Wraith King, who is going to... Okay, Dawnbreaker just comes into the fight really low at this point. That's what makes this train go off the rails, I think. Dawnbreaker
People are
came in
keeping
just
him.
awkwardly low. We have the Shaman coming in for round 2. Necro is now just bathing in the middle of a lot of nonsense. A lot of lads with the big break up here. Oh, baby, that's exactly what you want to have happen on the Blade Mail. Axe pops that Blade Mail. Immediately, Tiny walks over, wallops himself for a load of damage. Very strong game for this particular item, and then they just keep running things over. They do have a Spirit Vessel on the Necro, but it's a little late at this point. My Captain Gearing, that was huge. You're talking about how Necro was a million miles ahead. But for the record, when that fight started, he was about 7k.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. So like, this is the thing, right? Like, Warlock doesn't do anything in this game because he can't ever. He's never gonna be able to press Fatal Bonds, like in a way that like does anything. So I think this entire hero honestly is just centered around Fatal Bonds, and like that's the only reason why you should pick this hero.
I do think you're underestimating what Chaotic Offering offers to the hero right now. It's a very strong skill at the moment. But also, he didn't use it in that fight, so what's the difference?
I don't know.
Just an awkward fight there where GRaff was just skirmishing them in the perfect position for an hour, and then he walked into 5 and died. We were talking about that, so awesome. Forgot he didn't have one of those BKB things, I think. He has no money right now. What did you just spend on? The Ag Shard, okay. Makes sense, I guess. Have you noticed since the Tormentor changed, nobody does it anymore, like at all?
Yeah, it's just too late in the game. I think 20 minutes. I don't know. It's very far out of the map, and I think at 20 minutes...
I had that problem with it initially, to be honest. I always thought the Tormentor was just awkwardly far. I like how that was a bit of a communication goof there. They had the global silence in order to try and enable the Axe to continue that and get a kill, and I don't think he realized it until he was already halfway running away. He was already committed to leaving. Gotham, when you do something like that, you gotta scream to the mic. Going to find this Warlock here. This is very unfortunate. Old Warlock is not long for this world. Gets chopped in half, loses a bit of intelligence, which is really annoying on this guy. You really don't want to have crappy end on a hero like this. Wacko Dubs is going to say, Daddy, chill.
Warlock's, what facet did you take? The EXP one or the...
Yep.
Okay. And he's already used it, wow.
Oh. That may have been a blunder on Warlock's part. Speaking of blunders, Clockwork blunders into a whole bunch of guys here. It does seem like this is something this team as a whole needs to work on a little bit. Is that you definitely, there have definitely been a lot of somebody goes somewhere weird and dies related plays. It's like hero is like really forward, kind of out of position, no vision, and then explodes. Axe very brave here, going right for the Wraith King. No reincarnation on this guy, no life for this guy. Goodbye. Very quick swoop in from GRaff here, hitting all those buttons on his piano. Gets rid of the Wraith King. Just what you want to see. He's now going to bully this poor Shadow Shaman. Not that much show. Everybody's going to go to town on him here. And he's going to die. And the Shaman's actually going to live. His pustules are going to burst. They're going to kill the Axe on the side here. Also, Granola died on like the other side of the map. Just got... Oh, he got stunned by the map. Right by the camp.
Damn. Unfortunately, GRaff died there, because otherwise I was going to call him a Smurf.
There you go. Nah, I gotta be honest with you. I think GRaff is a little bit more like a Snork.
I don't know what that is, I'm sorry.
Goddamn Zoomers. In fairness,
Dude,
that's like 30 years before my time, too, so you know. I was very surprised. I was like, Lotus is clearly like an old man. Why does he not get any of my old man jokes? And then he was like, I'm 26, and I was like, what the f? That was crazy to hear. That guy must have been smoking a pack a day his entire childhood to sound like that.
Why are you doxing people? Come on, bro.
Good question. He said it on live stream. That's not a dox. That's a self-dox, if anything. GRaff found a big stack here in the Dire Jungle. Also found the enemy pause 1 here in the Dire Jungle, and is going to eat that guy instead. And here comes the Dawnbreaker and the Wraith King to try and break things up. Wacko Dubs is finally actually in a team fight here, and it's gone pretty well thus far. Has resulted in the death of the Dawnbreaker, the first death of the Wraith King, but also the Necro just got completely eviscerated there. And the Axe is gonna die too. These guys need BKB or to immediately kill the Warlock to do fights like that, is what the lesson of the day is. $2,650 gold swing puts the Dire back in the lead for, I believe, the first time since the lane phase. And you can see it there. That's a lot of damage on the part of the Wraith King. Actually, a lot of damage on the part of the Warlock. And you said he wasn't going to get anything out of Fatal Bonds this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually remember what happened that fight or how the fight started. The clock started on the Wraith King, right? Or was it a different hero?
They started on the Tiny, they knocked him out. The Wraith King and the Dawnbreaker came in. The Dawnbreaker ult got 3 people, including the Silencer, which is a pretty big one to get. This is an interesting little go here. The Wraith King tries to go for the counterattack on the Silencer, but everybody in the world just jumps on his ass here. He does not have Reincarnate, but they don't have any ability to actually kill him. The supports just melt instantly. Regen Underclub gone, just like that. Again, no global able to be used there. And they're actually going to just party on the Necro and get rid of them too.
So wait, what has changed between these last 2 fights versus before when they were losing? Did Tiny pick up a Blink Dagger recently?
Nope.
Was that like the call? Or, was it the Wraith King that picked up a Blink Dagger?
Wraith King picked up a Blink Dagger, but he's had this for a minute. He's had this before the, like, since the fight before last. I think it's just really, just a difference in A, fighting around the Global Silence, which they haven't done in the last 2 fights, and B, the fact that the Wraith King is, like, pretty scary right now and nobody can actually do anything about him. Like, the Wraith King is just a big tanky man who soaks up a lot of punishment, and by the time they're able to get a life off of him, these very squishy supports have already died, and the Axe isn't, like, swimming in money right now. He's barely got more than the Dawnbreaker, who's effectively another support. Oh, look, I was talking about how nobody does Tormentor anymore, and look at this. That's crazy.
But I guess my question here is that, like, Wraith King was also a big scary man, like, 2 fights before, and they were losing those fights. So I feel like something critical has changed.
No, I think that really is just it. He is just scaled to the point at this point where he is hard to deal with. I think a lot of it was the Dire were making mistakes that they aren't anymore, frankly. The Dire have learned from their past sins. They're no longer, like, you know, they're no longer having Warlock face tank everything, you know.
So Necro's making some pretty good moves here. He's like TPing from lane to lane, the other 2 lanes to push out with his shard, kind of which just cleans up an entire creep wave with Radiance.
Yep.
Punishing this push even though that tower went down really fast.
Yeah, honestly, if I was them, I would have postured at the T3 just to see if I could bait a TP out. Because GRaff can clean up lanes, but he cannot actually kill a tower.
Well, that's dead.
Bye-bye, Warlock. Comes the Wraith King. But
Bots are too fast.
bots are not too fast. They're too fast now.
He can Shroud and TP, right? Or
I don't think he needs to. I think he wants this Wraith King chase to just keep going. He has Q and he has his W. He's electing not to use it. Unfortunately for him, he elected not to use it a little too long, and the Global Silence came out just a hair too late. It was a very tight window for that Global Silence to be a baller, unfortunately. I think he was trying to get the Wraith King to just follow him into pain and just couldn't get away fast enough. Especially with the tiny
Isn't that always a losing play though? Because the Wraith King can choose to disconnect at any time, and you're like not really baiting him into anything.
Well, you're wasting his time while you're very well scaling core farms, you know.
I mean, I guess that's just that would be a misplay on the Wraith King's part, not a good play on the Necros.
And I think the idea was he was also trying to connect with the team there. So it was just, if that had gone well, it would have been a misplay on the Wraith King's part. But it's like, also, If you didn't know, I believe that was the Shadow Blade reveal from Tiny. I don't think he had that up to that point. If you did not know that was coming,
Yeah,
there
that
is
makes
reason
sense.
to at least fish for that misplay. Also, rip the Clockwork. I think maybe part of it as well is that the Antonio is on level 2 grow now, and that's a pretty decent damage steroid every time he gets that. I'm not really able to take him out at the beginning of fights as reliably anymore as well. Okay, never mind.
Solid blink. Nice reaction timing.
Yeah, Axe almost melted there, but no such luck. Going for his BKB here. He did not have good blink timing on this one.
That was
Just
a really
gets
nice
hammered.
chaining of spells.
Yeah, I think
Really
this
good
is
Warlock drop.
this is really, you know, to what I was saying earlier. I think this is what's really changed for the Dire more than anything. Is that the first fights were very chaotic, disjointed, saw a lot of people falling very quickly in ways they weren't expecting. Since then, it's been, you know, the right person at the right place at the right time. It's been a lot of situations where they wait for the Radiant to overextend and then punish on that.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I think it really is as simple as the Dire figured out they were playing like chickens with their heads cut off and stopped. You know,
Now the real question
sometimes-
is how do you consistently stop doing that? Like, is there a series of rules to prevent yourself from playing like that?
Yes, have good coordination, have good communication. That's kind of hard. The sad thing is that next week they're kind of going to be at, unless they queue a lot in the off time, which they might, I guess. I mean, they didn't seem to do that much during the 2 weeks between draft and now, but there is, I guess, the non-zero chance that this How to Train Your Guardian team does try to queue more during the downtime, but they will kind of be back at square one again next week, as this is 2 stand-ins, and right now, this stand-in is very much in charge of this game. This numbers guy here is like where a lot of this pain is coming from. Granola, as well, certainly playing a very major part. But this game is this competitive, well, not this competitive, this much of an advantage for this team, because numbers is playing it out very well. And this is not your normal player, unfortunately. Global Silence out here is going to stop the Wraith King from being able to get anything more out of this. One thing I cannot help but notice, you do have a sentry on this guy at least. One thing I cannot help but notice is that despite the fact that you both have the invis on the Tiny and that it is starting to become a very major problem for this lineup, there's not really a lot of like invis detection on this lineup. You have one sentry in Sean's pocket and nobody else has a thing. Got the silencer, got rid of him. 78 seconds to his ult, so not the biggest kill in the world, but... Okay, you have a good go on the Shaman here. If they can get out of this without taking major casualties, it's fine. Trading supports at this point is more than worth it. Axe really wanted to get the Wraith King to run into the tower there with Call, didn't quite make it.
I wonder when they're gonna try to get Roche and put it on Tiny, because I feel like that's their only way of going high ground.
That's a backbreaker moment as well. It's, you know, not easy to kill this guy once at the moment, and the answer to that is right now.
Oh, actually, could you look at the Warlock and see what talent he chose at 15? Because I feel like there's one really
Sure.
good one. Oh, attack speed. Yes, that's great.
Yeah, that's going to make this uphill
Yeah.
a cinch for these guys. These guys feel a million miles ahead, and outside of the infinite scaling potential of Axe, which I must mention on stream, they are definitely the better team at this stage of the game. And indeed, yep, right guy takes the Aegis. Silencer takes the Aghanim Scepter, which... very luxury type pick, I think.
So Coil is being used outside of base.
Yeah.
Could call in the Warlock, but this
Going to take the first life of the Wraith King, actually. They're going to take the first Aegis of this Tiny, actually.
This was actually a really good move by whoever started this fight. You're not giving the Tiny and the team a chance to set up with the Aegis on the tower.
Tiny just double died. You're not giving the Tiny any chance to do nothing. No, Wraith, you don't walk into that. Oh, mamma mia, not like this. He's dead again. This should have been an awful fight for the Radiant, and it just was a massacre.
Puck is doing some work.
Yeah, Puck is doing a lot of, getting a lot of good work in this fight. I think they took it in a very disjointed manner on the Dire that allowed, like, everyone was pretty split in this fight, which is not how they've been winning these fights. They've been winning these fights by getting everyone to jump on somebody, then putting the Fatal Bonds on that guy, putting the Golem on that guy, putting the Dawnbreaker ult on that guy. Instead, what happened this time is, you know, the Dire split up trying desperately to find any kills they could get. They did get a couple, lost a few in the process, and right now, when you're 12k up, a trade like that does not look good. You can see even though it's 3 for 2, really 3 for 4, because they killed both these guys twice, but those didn't count for money. Even though it was 3 for 2, 2,668 gold sling for the Radiant, which is like crazy money. GRaff got to live that, and is thus now going to put the creeps at your
Wait, there's
tower.
no way that was 3 for 2, right? Because I think Warlock died in that fight.
He did not. You're smoking
Really?
crack.
Okay. Because I remember Axe jumped the Warlock. You're telling me an Axe couldn't kill Warlock?
Yes. But
Okay.
like I said, it's really a 3-4-4 because the Wraith King and the Tiny both died twice. So, you know, there's that element to it. Which I believe is why the Axe didn't kill the Warlock. He just stopped what he was doing and then, you know, helped those other kills happen.
Oh yeah, I just realized Axe is actually lower net worth than Warlock.
Oh, nice. Poor lads, shout out to the train. Poor lads, and I mean that in the most literal way possible.
Like, how's Warlock so rich?
He makes money by existing and was part of 20 kills. It's global silence out here to try and get rid of this Dawnbreaker, but no such luck. Everybody, actually, that is a very large defensive response. They love Barret on this team. And the funniest thing is, it was a very large defensive response, and he was already just BKB'd and running home, so no TPs were even necessary in the end. Not that you would have known from that position, in fairness. Yes, we were hurt. You could say that again. You were hurting, maybe. Axe is not Axe. I would not be betting on Axe futures right now. Gonna pop BKB here. I believe that was the 9. Yep.
Avalanched a little too late there.
They are going to get rid of him. That is not what you want the 9-second BKB to look like. Oh, Puck's Courier. Oh, he actually is going to get the Daedalus off of that before he goes. Or, it doesn't even go down. Okay. Well, Puck has full Daedalus now, so that's something. Full Daedalus plus both Ags. So that's actually really big now.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structure.
Snakes up at this T3. Glyph is going to make everybody run away. These guys are awful at clearing snakes. All their ranged heroes attack like 1 time a minute.
These aren't the, this isn't the large snake though.
That's true, yeah. If this was a large snake, this really sucked. Really should have used that here, if I'm being honest. They used the Dawnbreaker. Yep, 3-man coil. This is really big here, actually, as that Drain Coil now hurts a lot.
If they had vision on the Tiny would have died from Scythe.
What did... I don't know. I don't know what just reflected on the Warlock there. But Wraith King
Fatal
just became
Bond.
Feast for the Flesh Flies. Maybe. Maybe. I wish it would show here. My life for Ayur. True. Average Fiend is now playing Dota 2. 2-for-1 trade there. That's a 2,650 gold sling. They are definitely... They're starting to play a little haphazardly on the Dire. It feels like they're getting very hungry, trying to get on these kills, and I don't think they're respecting what the Radiant team is actually doing anymore. Which is funny because they've kind of slipped right back into the exact mentality, and I think that's what it is. It's not big item spikes, so certainly the Puck Ags plus Daedalus definitely helps a lot. The Necro Shivas definitely helps a lot on that front, right? They definitely did get some big items in the intervening time. But I don't think it was really a big power spike on the Radiant that caused that fight to happen. I mean, they were down lads anyway for the great majority of what just happened. But the difference is that now they're getting a little foolhardy. They're letting themselves play out of position. They're letting themselves... They're letting things happen without the Warlock abilities being able to make plays, which is what won them thus far. They've been doing things without taking out the Necro or the Puck before they go in, which has been what they've been winning with thus far. It feels like they became so secure in their lead, they were like, we don't have to play this that carefully anymore. We can, we can start trying to end things, right? I think they had that bug bite them of, we're ahead, we've just got to find the opportunity and end. And it's just put them right back to where they were at the beginning of the game. It's just put them right back to where they heard the word go. And I think on the other hand, the GRaff team is in that desperate phase where they're in the corner. They say, no, we want to be the only guys this week, outside of maybe the 2 other matches I'm not going to see, to get that 2-0, baby. We're going to put them away. So they are fighting tooth and nail here. Back to the upsides we saw in Game 1. That's a really good global silence, actually. That is a super good global silence, actually. Here's the Puck green coil is going to really screw up the Dawnbreaker, so it's getting a little bad. They're going to lose the Puck maybe? Nope, Puck is going to jump out just in time. They're going to lose the silencer for it. Warlock is back in the fight here. Wacko Dubs, a little scary play. Oh man. Oh man! What a scythe! That was perfectly timed. Oh my god, Wacko Dubs. Riding the lightning there in a hard way, gets the Wraith King to chase that, looking for the kill. Again, desperation. If Wraith King turns around and starts walking back to his base there, if he lets that Puck go, he says, okay, I can't make that. He lives. 10 out of 10 times he lives. I don't think they can get him without putting Puck's life on the line and, like, far too risky of a way. But instead, the Wraith King starts chasing around that Puck, says, I gotta get him, and Puck just makes him walk right up to the scary green guy who puts him away.
And look at that, Puck is on top of the net worth after that laning stage.
There you go. Just as a haunted mist foretold. I can't knock you for being wrong on that one.
I do think Dire needs to itemize a Hex for Puck. I think this is the one item that always screws Puck over. Especially Puck players who like to play on the edge of their seats.
Play on the edge of their seats, and notably no BKB, no defensive items of any sort on this Puck right now.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, I'm just gonna get a massive Dream Coil and then press E and then they'll all die. But then like the moment anyone gets a Hex on you, you're kind of screwed. So I'm just curious, like,
basic
should
Dispel.
Wraith King build it?
It's basic Dispel, get rid of Hex. We're about to find out. Where the hell is it? Oh no, I can't see behind.
I think it has to be a strong Dispel.
Strong Dispels only, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you will not be able to easily get rid of that. So yeah, it is definitely still, yeah, very strong. Who is
the other part of it is that it's instant cast time, so Puck can't dodge it. I would say probably the Warlock should buy it, but if not the Warlock, then the Wraith King.
Well, speaking of Hex, that Shadow Shaman just hexed himself off of the Lotus Orb. That's kind of funny.
Not enough though, yeah.
Very, very scary go on the support line there, but is not going to end up in Radiant's favor. They're going to snap the Axe in the bottom lane. The Tiny's just going to jump scare the Axe, and they're going to walk away with the Axe and the Clockwork there for nothing. That is not really a very accurate post-fight assessment, but whatever. That's not very good. That's just two casual spills, get some more money back in the pockets of the Dire. That wealth gap has closed a lot though, even after those 2 picks. They're only 5k up now, which is a far cry from how far ahead they were for a long time.
I mean, this wealth gap is literally Warlock versus Silencer, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
though that is tempered a little bit by the Axe versus Dawnbreaker one as well.
The Warlock is so rich, but he's going for Refresher Orb, which I don't think is the correct item here.
I can kind of see it at least. I don't think it's an explicitly wrong item. Huge Dream Coil. They're having such issues with this Dream Coil right now. Gets 3. Gets rid of the first life on the Wraith King. Gets rid of, with the assistance of Clockwork, who does go down for his troubles. Gets the Tiny as well. They're going to silence and kill the Dawnbreaker on the turnaround. This is getting really bad.
Yeah, Puck is just out of control.
This, they really are struggling to deal with this, this Puck Dream Coil thing, like, horrifically to the golems. Do something, come on now.
Cutting waves, I guess.
Struggling hard to, no, I mean, like, do something about these golems. Don't just let them sit there and cut your wave while you're pushing it. Quite far now, but, you know, they had an opportunity. But, struggling very hard to deal with the Dream Coil at this point.
Yo, this Puck is crazy. He's going Scotty. There's no way this makes any sense.
We'll see if this makes any sense. They got the Ags coming out on Wraith King very soon. He could buy it if he doesn't care about his buyback. Just shy of actually both. So buy out Wraith King. It's gonna happen in the next 400 gold. You're across some hat from everybody. Gonna do this this Roche here. This is gonna be a kind of a long Roche, but what are you gonna do? Tough Giant's Wall. Now he's got a big stupid hammer. And so does Puck, for that matter. Radiant scan out just north of the pit. They find nothing. They give the Aegis to Puck. That is definitely the right call, I think.
Wait, how did Puck go from... Was it seriously that one fight where he was like barely the #1 net worth and now he's like 6k ahead of everyone else?
Yeah.
7k?
The guy has been getting many kills.
Jump that high.
Guy's been getting many big ticket kills, he's been part of many big ticket assists, and he has been very liberally using his skills to earn money, so...
Remember when Puck had a 320 GPM talent at like level 25 or something?
I prefer not to think about the fact that those, that era of talents, that was actually, that era, it was the first time I was like, I'm done with Dota 2.
Oh, GRaff says he fed him a moon shard. That's why that makes sense. Because the Necro's net worth I didn't notice, but it also tanked. That doesn't sit well with me. I definitely don't think moon shard is worth 4,000 gold, especially in Eaten moon shard.
At least it does amplify his ult here. They're gonna take a very free uphill. Nobody on Dire is actually in defensive formation right now. They sent out the flare. They have seen nobody. This is unreal. Do something. Do anything. What the hell is this? We got a guy in the GG jungle, which that guy is fair to be there. Such a long wait. If you want to defend uphill, maybe do it at the T3, not at the racks are already gone. Holy hell! What a miscue. Gonna take out the well, not quite take out the Warlock actually. Pretty big call here is going to take the Wraith King. Not quite take care of him. This is his second life. No Dream Coil on the Puck. But Global Silence on the Silencer. They're going to take the Puck out again, but they're going to trade him for the Wraith King. That's 3 for 3, except that also came with a caveat that the Dire lost both of their racks before they even got to start fighting. Okay, maybe not. Okay, this is gonna be 3 for 5. Never mind. So
you know what you know what I usually say in these moments when when a clock makes a play like that. This is when I start yelling Uber Eats into my microphone.
There you go.
It's like he's like a delivery driver. He just delivers food straight to you, bro.
Yeah, he really did. So that actually tilted the net worth lead because of the last 2 kills there back into the Dire's favor here. And again, you do have the dust on the Clockwork, you have the dust on the Silencer. Okay, so it was just genuinely, you just got jump scared there. Oh no, you're just gonna walk right up here and just trade the racks right back. Okay. This is crazy mode Dota.
Barracks are under attack. Radiant's
Anyone want a glyph? You get it for free when they kill this. Okay, there we go.
Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So
And
wait,
the
does
Tiny actually knows to
Dawnbreaker
get back.
does Dawnbreaker shard still give for BKB?
That's Wraith King. The answer is yes.
Okay.
Probably should
Yeah,
get it, you think?
No. Well, the thing is, like, I think Dawnbreaker kind of has to change the way that she plays because there's a silencer in the game. Like, the way that she was playing that last fight where she would ult in from farming across the map just doesn't work against silence, right? So I want to say that she needs to go blink and shard and just, like, start fights like that. But it's hard to say. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always not pleasant playing into silencer as Dawnbreaker.
Yeah, thus far it hasn't really been a problem, but the global silences went from having no impact on a fight to having very large impacts on the fight. She also should probably stop floating 3,000 gold without anything in her quick buy, but you know how that goes.
Wait, what does her axe do if she gets silenced? Doesn't nothing, right? Because
Yeah,
she
it
has to
stops
land,
immediately.
right?
Also, this is really... Oh no! Oh, they missed him! Oh! Get the magic hook shot. No.
Radiant's bottom barracks
That nobody even got him in time. That's very sad. Don Ag's also way to counter silencer. Yeah, you can just land it immediately.
Wait, how does... No, that's the old
top tower.
Dawn's axe. The new one doesn't do that, right?
I believe so. I believe it does. Makes you drop instantly with the ult and keep the AoE ult, or the AoE healing keeps running.
Okay. Wait, so it still reduces channel time. I guess that's the counter.
Yeah, they got the second life on the Wraith King up here, by the way, without the GRaff. Nice.
Radiant's bottom
They did take the clockwork for it. Bolt comes out. Global Silence come out. Call comes out, but it did not get the tiny like it was probably intended to. It's a little unfortunate. Got a mutual hex there. Puck takes a spill. GRaff is now here.
Given how behind the axe is, I would actually consider getting a Ghost Scepter. So you can Ghost Scepter yourself after blink calling.
There you go.
I don't know. Rough.
Speaking of Ghost Scepters, the guy with it just went down, the Silencer. Going to have the exciting Puck versus Tiny matchup. The winner, Reaper Scythe! Okay, everybody on the Dire is dead. So what that shows is that they cannot win a fight when Wraith King dies instantly.
Radiant's
Which makes sense, because I think a lot of what happened that was good for them in the last few fights was just on the grounds of that Wraith King Ags being very annoying for them. Puck is going to just leash and annihilate the Warlock. Tiny's gonna buy. Wraith King's gonna buy. A little scary for the Warlock. He's getting nullified. We got Nully out on the Wraith King now. It's pretty hard to kill. Oh my god, the bounce back! Very nice. GRaff tries to TP out when the stun is up. A little awkward, but what are you gonna do? So the bad news is they killed GRaff. The good news is that in a 1v3 or 1v2, it took him about an hour and a half to die. So there's that. Puck is Q in the rapier. Okay.
Anyone have Hex yet?
Let's find out. Wraith King? No, he has Nully. The Dawnbreaker is not even looking at it, looking at
Bro,
Sanj
what does
and Yasha.
SNY do at the point, man? What is this item?
Sanj and Yasha is the combination of Sanj and Yasha. Originally, that was the only combination.
It just, like, I don't know. I don't understand this itemization.
It is very interesting. It's the itemization for Dawnbreaker that's much more ahead than this, I think. Like, this is a Dawnbreaker inventory that's awesome to have at like 30 minutes, if that makes sense. And now it's 50, and she's still like building it. It's like a I am balling Dawnbreaker build, not an I am 4th place Dawnbreaker build. Silencer with the refresher, by the way. Used it in the last fight, in fact. Well, this is awkward. Okay, the Uber Eats is here. Everybody's actually around this spot.
Uh-oh, it's not an Uber Eats this time.
Global Silence is actually going to stop the Wraith King from taking out the clock before he goes down. Trade 2 supports here. The puck coming in from the back. This is a little bit of crazy positioning. It's going to dodge like everything these guys have. Gotham bought.
Necro.
Gotham
Right,
bought and died for it. Instant dieback is going to get the Wraith King in the process. BKB used on the Necro here. This Tiny is really scary. He does not have Reaper's Sight for this. But the mutual heals. Okay,
Oh.
Puck is just gonna get out here. Just dodging. This is just making a clown out of the Tiny. And there he goes, adios payasos. Just Tiny misses everything he's got to all the puck disjoints and stuff.
That feeling when no hex.
That feeling when no hex indeed. No hex on Antonio either. And I believe no space even for a hex. Dawn should go Harpoon or SNY, never both. I'm not a Dawn expert, so I'll take your word for that. You know, nothing here either. And he did actually the exact same thing, SNY Harpoon. Making GRaff really happy this game. This is the
What's the
biggest
Wraith
move in
King's
the world.
inventory? Because I feel like I mean, if the Warlock is not building it, the Wraith King kind of has to.
He's
But
going
he's
to
going
silence.
Orchid. No, that's not enough. I legitimately think Hex is like one of the best items in like the late game, and that like every single core should have it when the game goes long enough.
I think you are. I think every core having it doesn't mean you're incredibly weak during the BKB power play. That's the only problem with that.
Well, the late game BKBs don't do anything because they're like 5
6
seconds.
seconds. 6 seconds
Oh,
of
okay.
having one less
Sure.
item. than the
Okay,
other guy.
whatever, man. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, that's.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Also, in a way, I feel like Hexes counter BKB because they prevent you from getting it off. But you know, I don't know. It's
It relies on having the advantage.
The Radiant now have Megas. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So during the time everyone was out, they got the megas. This is not looking good, I must say, for the Dire. Looked like it was going to be a comfortable win for a while, and I think, unfortunately for them, a lot of their snatching the defeat from the jaws of victory here, just on the mental game more than anything. I mean, you can talk about itemization all day. There's certainly things to talk about. You could talk about a lot of things with this lineup, but the core key issue, it did feel like to me, is like even if you fix the small things, right? Even if you fix the Wraith King losing his first life basically immediately, you've got the second part of the global silence maybe a little too quick there. Also, he was not actually in danger, and the Wraith King was exempted from that. Oh man, look at the Dawnbreaker just die. Dawnbreaker's great. The Shadow Shaman build soon afterwards. Wraith King gets chopped in the face, Dawnbreaker buys back, going for round 2. The Necro is nullified. Necro tries to dive the fountain while nullified, which is certainly a choice.
alright, GRaff, explain this.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
I think we're gonna see an I got greedy again.
It is under
But the puck is just making people explode while this massive legion of mega creeps annihilates the Ancient. Gluck next of the rest of the season. Do you think Gotham even knows what Gluck means?
Gotham, interesting, toxic, bro. Good
True.
luck for the rest of the season.
Gluck. He wants them to Gluck for the rest of the seasons. It's Glucked up. But yeah, I mean, this is just again. I feel like more so than the first game. This definitely felt like a game of just mental. Again, can talk a lot about better itemization. A Hex most certainly would have helped out here. No two ways about it. There was no defensive items on the puck. You know, talking about the world where 3 cores get Hex, you know, that's talking about the world where the enemy team has countermeasures for that. Where's the countermeasure on Puck this game? Closest thing she's got to that is a Divine Rapier, which, that might tantalize you while you're annihilating her when she's when she's a sheep. You know what I mean? Like, that's the best she's got. She might distract you with the shiny rapier in her inventory. She's got nothing else on her than that. You can certainly talk a lot about itemization this game, and I think there is something to be said. And you can talk a lot about the draft in this game, and I think for both teams, there's certainly something to be said there. But I think the critical key thing is that in the middle of this game, How to Train Your Guardian found the winning play, found the winning recipe for a team fight, found that basically every time they have Wraith King standing somewhere tantalizing, or anybody standing somewhere tantalizing, there will be a lot of people who fly right on top of it. So you can just have the Warlock in the trees somewhere nearby to drop all of his crap on them, drop his little thing on them. It never seemed to get uh, messed with at that point, which I guess is fair because it's not like the Radiant really has all that many stuns, and Silencer was very often in this period of the game dying immediately in the team fights, right? They found this winning strategy on how they would be able to play fights, and it was carrying them for a long time into this game. But eventually, once they were really on the precipice of it, once they were on the cusp of winning, right? Once that was in their hands, they started getting very desperate to close things out, which I definitely don't agree with. They started playing these very desperate fights where they would all split up, try running for the easiest kill they could find, and when they were split up, they would get torn apart. And by the time they kind of came back to it again, they found out that Punk had turned from a complete non-factor into somebody with, Mjolnir and an Ags and crits, who was tearing them apart, and whose sudden prominence after a game of dealing pretty much just with the Necro and Axe, whose sudden prominence shocked them so badly that everyone was already so committed to the world where Puck was never going to be a problem that nobody was ready to do anything about it in terms of items or play, right? They had a winning strategy. They slipped on the winning strategy. They gave GRaff team the ability to come back from it. And to GRaff team's credit, they did. Just because you have an opportunity doesn't mean it's being taken. When the Dire did start splitting up, when they did start making these suboptimal plays to try and seal the deal, try to squeeze it out, the GRaff lineup, the Maledict Plague Theory, did do a very good job taking the advantage, in particular on Wacko Dubs, who is a very common puck player, as you can see there, did do a very good job of seizing that initiative when it was presented to them. Every time the Dire gave them an inch, they yanked on it, took a mile, right? And I think at the end of the day, I think that's the core key thing that just happened here. The How to Train Your Guardian team got just too ahead of themselves, started giving the Maledict Plague Theory team some easy leads to come back in, and once they started getting the advantage on that lineup, they really just didn't know what to do anymore. You had a panic. You had a sustained team-wide panic at the end of the game. It felt like only Wraith King wasn't taking part in, and then it lost. What do you think?
Um, I think both teams made some pretty good adjustments. I guess some standout adjustments. I think changing the Lifestealer for Tiny for a more active hero. Given that last game, they didn't really have anyone that was able to start fights. Like Underlord couldn't really do it. Necro couldn't do it. I thought that was a really cool change. And I also, on the counter side, changing Drow to Puck definitely fits Wacko much better, I think. Yeah, he definitely seems like a very aggressive player, given the fact that he was like running into fights with Drow with like half HP last game. When I don't think Drow players should be doing that. Definitely, yeah, I think that's a really cool area to explore. These more unconventional and more like mobile, like safe laners that don't have to be traditional safe laners. I think could be a really cool strategy for them to exploit.
Though I will say, it probably would be for the best to try and get Wacko Dubs on that disciplined diet, because it is nice to be able to run Wacko Dubs on weird, off-the-wall safe laners and get away with it. It would be much nicer if Wacko Dubs was performing similarly well on the Drow, and I think the key there is going to be the discipline, is going to be picking the fights a little bit better, using the kit certainly a little bit better. You know, knowing when it's time to stick out their neck a little bit more. And that's all just discipline things, not like getting your kid in trouble discipline things, but like military discipline things. Know when to stand your ground and not flinch. Because that's what it really is doing a lot of flinching, is saying, oh no, I have to help at the wrong time is a form of flinching, in a way.
Do you think that this is something you can improve within a season?
I think you can. I think you can because it's just pure, like, a lot of it is communication. It is a lot of it is fixable by just having one of the supports just keep an eye out on them and say, "Come on, Wacko, let's just get back." Right? I think a lot of it is you can fix it with your team around you if the communication is good. And it seems like thus far, it seems like the GRaff team is pretty tight knit at this point, and so that should be a solvable issue, in my opinion. You can, and it's like it's a crutch for a while because you can have your team, you can lean on your team for communication in that phase of it, and then once you get used to it, then you can walk on your own with it. I think having the card in your inventory would definitely be for the best for Wacko, because that game one was whack compared to game two. That's for sure. Anything more to say? Buy Hex
No, I
against
think
Puck? I mean, I would definitely agree with that, at least.
I mean, yeah, I would agree with that. I also mentioned buying 3 hexes. I don't know if people agree with that one, but we'll see.
If
That's just my
you,
opinion.
or anybody you know, want to learn Dota 2 in a casual or more competitive level, go to LD2L.gg today to sign up. It's too late to get into this season, but it's not too late to stand in. We're always looking for more stand-ins at all levels in the LD2L, which is 0 to 4K. Queues are going to be popping everywhere you look. Once the season is over, we're going to be having in-houses again, and once the season is over, season 21 will probably not be that far away. LD2L.gg, link to the Discord server is where all the action is happening, and we will see you this Sunday with whatever random crap I decide to cast live this week. You want to say goodbye to everyone before we leave?
All right, goodbye.